and the environment. And then if you have all those things in there, they'll be able to start providing the type of information that people come and ask. Like, I can't find my medicines anymore, where can I find them? And we don't have to go, well, this is where so-and-so gets them. But we would say something more like, well, you can find them in a wet environment on a north slope, up in the hills, or something like that.
Down the drop, next to water.
Yeah.
Also, when I was thinking about this, about the preservation, like history always does, preserves everything for us that they have, and not letting it out, And, I heard of one of our tribal members taking a carload of people from Canada to our digging sites, and what? That's a no-no. It's not done. We don't do that.
And that wasn't anybody from our program, I don't think. So
no, I won't mention names.
Okay, well we can't control what the others do, but no, we try very hard not to do that.
Maybe let a little knowledge out somebody.
Amy and Jerry.
Okay.
Oh, hold on, Amy.
Oh.
Thanks. I was wondering if you could briefly, because I know everyone's getting tired, and he and Dana still haven't had a chance to talk, I'm sorry. But if you could just very briefly talk about the importance of the Federal Register as it pertains to NAGPRA, one, and then two, if you could share with us if there were cultural plant inventories done for the Gebers project for the 1,200 acre lease, or oral histories done, or anything like that for the lease that hasn't really been approved, I don't think.
It's already approved.
Okay, so first question first. The Federal Register, so when you were talking earlier about Moses Stool and putting things on the historic register. So if you put things on the Federal Register, on a historic register, it describes that they are important and how they are important, but that doesn't necessarily protect them. And in fact, oftentimes people are more concerned about the information being available to the public about a place like that than they are about getting it on the register. But there's plenty of steps in between where you can work with agencies and land managers and the state and things like that to provide those protections without and having it eligible for those registers without it actually being in Washington, D.C., where anybody else can look it up. So we've actually done that with a couple of important places. Peshastin Pinnacles is on the state register, so nobody can do anything there without us being notified. And the Owl Sisters is on an inventory because you have to have the landowner approve it to be on the register, and nobody asked them. Yes?
No, I was talking about the Federal Register, not the National Register of Historic Places. The Federal Register for NAGPRA notices.
Oh, for NAGPRA notices. Sorry. Okay.
There's a lot of stuff.
Okay, so yeah, NAGPRA actually isn't where I'm expert, but NAGPRA is the Native American Grave Protection and Repatriation Act. And the law was passed in 1990, and the regulations were published in 1995. And the regulations stipulate that museums and federal agencies have to provide an inventory by a certain date of their holdings, and that is published in the register, and then a notice of inventory completion, and that's supposed to go out to the affected tribes, or the affected tribes can see it published there and ask for it, and then they have the ability to go beyond the inventory to actually go and look at the materials and see if they think any of them are Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act objects. So human remains are not objects. That's part of the law, but that's not what they mean exclusively. They also mean associated funerary objects that might be found, unassociated funerary objects that might be found, sacred objects, and objects of cultural patrimony. So all of those are supposed to be in these lists that they're sending out. And they publish those in the National Register and, yeah, and the Federal Register. And sometimes they get more information than is comfortable, but that's what they do.
They're supposed to be returned, right?
They are supposed to be returned, yes.
That it, Amy?
ASAP.
Gevers and oral history interviews.
Okay,
cultural
Gevers, always,
practices.
well, Gevers, we dealt with like we do the other projects. That was handled by the tribal archaeology arm, and so they did the background research, and when they did that, they did a check on the oral history interviews, databases, to see if there was anything about those areas. And then they conducted on-the-ground surveys for archaeological sites, and I do not believe that anybody went out and did an on-the-ground cultural plants inventory for that. I mean, I'm pretty sure, I know they didn't.
Okay, but like oral history information, new interviews being done for that project or anything?
Nope, I do not know of new interviews being done for that particular project.
Will they be done?
I don't know. It was not our intent actually to do more oral histories for that project, but if people think there's a concern and they have somebody they could recommend who might know who to talk to, then we would be happy to talk to them. So, you know the number, so call us anytime and give us a lead. Okay. Yeah.
Jerry?
Yeah, first I want to go back to Moses, Stu.
Yeah.
I was telling you about it, that what they done there was, this was Chief Moses' place of prayer. And it sits out, you can see miles from all over. And what they done was they took and it's a rock formation, like a pipe, a stovepipe. It had rock outcropping around it, outcropping, and then they took and they blew it up, and they put satellites there. I guess Wenatchee comes out there and they take hikes up there. The people from Wenatchee. But this is, to me, a sacred site.
They got about 20 satellites,
And
guy wires.
it's about 2.5 mile hike to get up there. Barbara goes up there like nothing. But then getting back now to what we was talking about before, what she's talking about, that database, where they're gonna do that. And what I'm wondering now is, I've seen some pieces in there about weed control. So I'm just wondering now, we haven't gotten back to Janet, our plant specialist lately, and we had several meetings with her, maybe two in Nespelem, one in Omak, and she came to a meeting here, a district meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we haven't gotten back to her, but one of our biggest concerns was the use of herbicides. Spraying of herbicides on weeds that contaminate our Indian carrots, and potatoes, what little canvas we have here on the reservation. And huckleberries, sarvis berries, bitterroots, everything, all the food gathering items. We haven't gotten back with her on, so maybe you know, because I know she works where you work about herbicides.
Sure, I can have her get back.
Yeah, maybe she
Would
could.
you like her to do that individually, or would you like her to find out a good public forum to do that?
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
good.
have another meeting with
Yeah,
the elders that she had met.
because we hadn't heard about this, and Barbara and I found out about it in this database, and was thinking, well, all the other reservations, we don't want all of them to know, because Yakima even says that they own part of the NORCAP,
Yeah.
and they can go ahead and dig roots and pick berries, do whatever they want up there, and in the Methow, and in the South Half, and
They're trying to claim our
so it's
aboriginal.
kind of like, if you put it on a database,
Mhm.
we were concerned that everybody in the whole country, all the Northwest will know about it.
Database isn't gonna be linked to anything until we get tribal direction. It's a
that's
standalone
good.
project.
And, it's just kind of like, I used to hear my Aunt Lucy and Shirley Palmer talk about this is concerning our forest. We don't want it to be too antiseptic looking. We like it to look natural. And so I just wanted to pass that on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Nancy,
I didn't have a comment, I think we should.
what's your meeting?
Yeah. I know you start calling names and I'm like going, Ricky, what are you doing?
You were
Okay,
walking,
yeah.
so I just jumped
Hello, my name's Pete Palmer and I work for the tribe's planning department. I'm the land use and shorelines administrator for the tribe, and I also chair our solid waste advisory committee. And so, like everyone else this evening, I was asked to come here and talk about public participation under the land use and development code, chapter 4-3, which is basically the tribe zoning code. And so I also wanted to let you know the other code regulations that also fall under the zoning code, which are the fireworks 3-6, the highway advertisement 4-21, shoreline management 4-15, FEMA, which is the FEMA 4-20, and solid waste 4-13. And why I say that is because all of those codes have to do with development on the reservation, and so anybody that is familiar with zoning knows that when you're permitting a development that you need to make sure that you're allowing construction or ground disturbing activities in areas where it's an allowable use of the land. And so that's why the zoning under our one-stop shop permitting shop that we have at the planning department comes before all the other permits. So starting with the zoning, 4-3-110 basically states that before you do any ground disturbing activities or construction on your property or property within the boundaries of the reservation, that you have a zoning permit application approved. And so again, that's the reason why we created the one-stop shop at planning. So individuals aren't having to run all over the agency or different areas on the reservation to try to fulfill all their permit needs for one development. We tried to have them all within planning, so we follow through one process of comment, routing, and approval. So once we get an application at the planning department and it is complete, we route it to BIA, tribal departments, and other outside agencies that would have an interest in the project or the area. And so the minor projects, which are like new home sites, remodels, small projects, they go for a 5-day comment period. And then the larger projects, which would be your conditional, your special uses, your variances, your appeals, revocations, they are routed for a 13-day comment, and they're kicked into a greater process with our land use review board. So anything basically that's heard by the land use review board is also required under 4-3-210 to have a public hearing. And so under those requirements, the public hearing is a quasi-judicial meeting under the procedures set forth, and they're open to all public and interested parties. So the outcome of the appeal, or for the all interested parties with an interest in the outcome of the appeal or the application. And so at that time, individuals, public people from the public or with an interest are given an opportunity to submit evidence and arguments or ask questions of the person who testifies. Within that process, we're also required to give notice to the applicant and any other person who makes a written request for such notice, and also to adjacent property owners. The code says within 300 feet of the project, but because a lot of our projects are on large scales of land that have no real adjacent property owners within 300 feet, we've taken it outside of that 300-foot border, and we've notified all adjoining property owners. So we go a little bit above and beyond what the code actually requires us as far as notification. So we're required to put it in a newspaper circulation for the area. So we use the Star, the Chronicle, and the Statesman, depending on the area for the development.